Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday services. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us on Zoom, drop a hello in the chat. We'd love to say hi back to you. Today's sermon is Widening the Concern, Spiritual Practices for the Beloved Community with Renée Brill. I know she's been working on this program a lot, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. All right. Anyone want to see how cute our church is getting? Scott, roll some new updated photos. Ooh. I just love the colors, don't you? I really, really do. I know they're a lot, but so are we. I think they're just so much fun. I cannot wait until we can all be back together. So, thank you to everybody who is involved in the painting and the fixing up of our lovely church. All right. For a list of meetings, news, and events going on with us, check your e-blast every week. If you're not subscribed to the e-blast, you can go to our website and sign up, or just visit our website and check it out. But if you are a member of the church, you should probably get an e-blast. It's got everything in it. All right. Don't forget, every Sunday after church, we have Talkback at 11:15, which I really recommend. It's wonderful. You get a lot out of it. You get community. You can talk or listen. No obligation to speak up if you're not feeling it that week. We have Adult RE at 1 p.m., and that's every Sunday. And we have the UUCOC Social Hour, Fridays at 9 p.m. If this is your first time visiting, please consider checking out our guest book and giving it a sign. Just go to this link here. Every week, I come to you and I share the joy of member anniversaries, of the dates when each of us decided to make each other our chosen family, to make our church our chosen family. And that is why today I am so excited, because today I get to celebrate that too. Happy UUCOC anniversary to me, Alicia Colley. Yay! And to the lovely and talented Alan Colley as well. Thank you, everyone, for being my chosen family. Happy Sunday.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. Thank you for having the curiosity and the courage to join us. We welcome you, whoever you are, whatever spiritual tradition, gender, age, race, sexual orientation, or background you may bring to our community. We hope you will find here comfort, connection, challenge, respect, and above all, love.
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of love, compassion, and forgiveness.
Que esta luz que ahora encendemos nos inspire a usar nuestros dones y poderes para sanar y no para herir, para ayudar y no para impedir, para bendecir y no para maldecir, para servirte a ti, espíritu de amor, compasión y perdón.
The Invisibility of Whiteness by John A. Powell. The invisibility of whiteness means that one doesn't have to notice that one is white. So there are people, and then there are Black people. There are people, and there are Latino people. And people, just folks, turn out to be white. But we don't notice it. White people have the luxury of not having to think about race. That is a benefit of being white, of being part of the dominant group. Just like men don't have to think about gender. The system works for you, and you don't have to think about it. So they live in white space, and then they don't have to think about it. First of all, they think about race as something that belongs to somebody else. The Blacks have race, maybe Latinos have race, maybe Asians have race, but they're just white. They're just people. That's part of being white.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan, despair. Come, come again, love. Come, yet again, come.
Because we love one another, we honor each individual spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance and service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together.
And now in Spanish. Porque nos amamos uno al otro, honramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y aceptación, así que hacemos pacto.
You are not alone with your sorrow, just as I am not alone with mine. Our covenant of right relations makes this so. You and I are bound by our promise to commune. In community, the burden of a heavy heart is shared. A burden shared is a burden lightened. At this time, we invite you to publicly post your sorrows and prayer requests to the Zoom chat or to send them to our Facebook Messenger.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. I breathe out, I breathe out love.
This Sunday, like every Sunday, we reaffirm our promise to one another. Our promise makes clear the call to celebrate. For that which brings you joy, makes you grateful, brings you peace. We, your sacred community, celebrate. We celebrate together and magnify joy, heighten gratitude, and spread ever-increasing peace. At this time, we invite you to publicly post your joys and prayer requests to the Zoom chat or send them to our Facebook Messenger.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the steps of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I'd like to start this morning by reading our affirmation that we passed at our last parish meeting. We, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to trying again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Because we desire accountability in this work, and because we desire to support and encourage other congregations to take up this work, we vote to add our congregation to the online map of congregations committed to widening the circle of concern. Now, this is the affirmation that our church passed, which I am super excited and proud about. Now, some of you, especially if you are new to our congregation or new to Unitarian Universalism, are going to have some questions around some technical lingo. And I think most Unitarian Universalists will want to know, what do you mean by accountability? So let's define some terms. First, what is widening the circle of concern? You're going to hear about that in two different ways, in the theoretical way and in a specific way. First, when we talk about the widening the circle of concern group or the widening the circle of concern study, we're referring to a specific report that was created. It's a scholarly report created by some of the best minds inside and outside of Unitarian Universalism around our own denomination's participation in white supremacy and white supremacy culture. Now, for some of us, that might sound scary and a little bit upsetting. What do you mean by white supremacy culture? I'm participating in white supremacy culture? Well, yes. This perspective of this report is that racism and oppression are everywhere. and especially in all of the places that you aren't looking. Racism and oppression, the ideas and the habits that sustain them are like sand. They get everywhere, and you have to intentionally look for them to get rid of them. It's not just going to go away on its own. So we're working from a perspective that although we can't truly say that we are not racist, we can become actively anti-racist by looking for those habits and patterns that support white supremacy culture. What does it mean by, and the widening the circle of concern theoretically? The circle of concern we can think of as the people whose concern matters, the people whose concerns we pay attention to, the people who get the mic time, the people who get the ear of our leaders. Widening the circle of concern is widening the number of people we think are worth listening to, widening the number of people who are leaders, widening the diversity of people who are leaders, widening the diversity of people who count and who are listened to. That is what widening the circle of concern means. It is what we sing about. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let love be our guide. Now, what is the beloved community? This is a term coined by Josiah Rice and popularized by Dr. Martin Luther King. It is a community where everyone is cared for. It is absent of poverty, hunger, and hate. It is a community where every person matters, where love does not distinguish between the worthy and the unworthy. According to the King Center, Dr. King saw the beloved community not as a pie-in-the-sky utopian ideal, but as a realistic, achievable goal that could be attained by a critical mass of people committed to and trained in the philosophy and methods of nonviolence. These methods seek to harness love as a force for social transformation. According to the Interaction Institute for Social Change, this love doesn't mean sentimental love or just people being nice to each other. It is a love that requires us to work to live it out in practice. It's a love that requires us to be present with each other as human beings, to love one another for our own sake. This kind of love requires us to look critically yet gently at the way our actions and behaviors impact other people, to check our assumptions, to cultivate our humility, to give and receive honest feedback, to make mistakes and learn from them. Some of you might also be wondering, while we're on the topic of mistakes, you might have noticed that we're covenanting not to succeed, but to continue to try until we do. We are covenanting not to not fail, but rather when we fail, we are covenanting to continue trying again and again. This is a kind of work that accepts that we are human and that we make mistakes. And it is this humanization that is a part of the transformation that we're looking for, providing everyone with the grace and care and love that they need and deserve, just for being a person. Widening the Circle of Concern report says that successful anti-oppression work is sustained over time as a lifelong learning. Not just a workshop is good enough, but a sustained over time effort. It is accountable. Talking about or saying you believe something is not enough. The outcome and the impact must change, which means that our behaviors must change. We must actually live and act to make those things true. It is intentional. It's not possible to unintentionally dismantle racism. It won't work itself over time. Dedicated focus is required. It's comprehensive because oppression supports oppression. We must root out oppression everywhere it exists, and it exists everywhere, especially in all the places we're not looking yet. Successful anti-racist and anti-oppression work is built and based in hope and love and not guilt and shame, for the simple reason that we know that when people feel guilty and ashamed, they tend to shut down and withdraw. Those things freeze people in their actions. They do not drive people to change their actions. Hope and love are what drives people to change their actions. And lastly, successful anti-racist work is challenging. Now, habitual, sustained over time, intentional, based in hope and love, that sounds like a spiritual practice to me. If you've taken the spiritual practice course that we offer through the UUA, then you'll know that we have a definition for spiritual practice that is very similar to this. It is habitual and sustained over time. It's intentional. We are intending to practice our values, and it is based in hope and love. That is the deeply transformative spiritual practice of anti-oppression work. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to write your own spiritual practices. Think about your own spiritual practices. And specifically, to look for a spiritual practice that feels authentic to you, not to everyone, but to you. A spiritual practice of accountability. What does that look like? What does it look like to be reminded in a loving way that you are not living up to your values? What does it look like to remind someone else? What does it look like to you to admit that you were wrong, have done wrong, have harmed in the way that every person has harmed? In our faith tradition, we don't necessarily have a strong tradition of confession, of talking about sin and redemption. Our tradition of Unitarian Universalism affirms the inherent worth and good of every person. So we don't have robust practices around what happens when we make mistakes. In other religious traditions that believe in original sin, they have practices of confessing their sin, of working to do better, of letting go of the guilt and beginning again in love. Now, we don't necessarily believe in original sin in the same way as other faiths, but I would say that I do believe in the original sin of America. And the original sin of American culture is genocide, racism, and oppression. And so if that is the sin that has been passed down from generation to generation, what is the ritual? What is the spiritual practice that we can use to tend to those spiritual wounds of feeling as though we are contributing to a horror that we would do without, that we cannot stand, cannot support? What is our ritual of accountability, of confession even? That is what I'd like you to write for yourself. Now, to help you with that, I am going to remind you of a couple of different forms of spiritual practice that we participate in. We participate in a kind of deep listening. Deep listening not with the intention of thinking about what you're going to say next, but to think about other questions that might help you understand better. The deep kind of listening that asks you to put on another person's perspective. Try it on as though it is true, and to see how that might change you. This is what we do in our talkback. It's what we do when we invite speakers to listen to give a sermon and to talk to us on Sunday morning. We also have a spiritual practice of intellectual curiosity. And I'd like to invite us to a particular kind of intellectual spiritual practice called Lectio Divino. This spiritual practice involves it involves reading and then taking intentional meditation time before reading again, and taking more intentional meditation time, and then reading again. This practice, what it gives us as opposed to the normal research methods that we might have learned in school, is it gives us time to really integrate and think about and make connections with our learning instead of moving on to the next thing. This extra time is what helps us make the kind of profound connections that we need. And it gives us time to wrestle with our own misgivings, to forgive ourselves, and to give ourselves permission to do differently. There are other practices that we can continue and start. There are circle groups that we have in Unitarian Universalism, which is a kind of spiritual accountability, of spiritual partnerships where we commit to continuing to ask each other those hard questions. What are your values, and how are you living them? We also have the opportunity to do the kind of embodied practice of practicing interrupting racism, practicing interrupting microaggressions, and doing that informative work of informing the oppressor and caring for the needs of the person who is harmed. This, we have resources in Theater of the Oppressed, where we act out issues of oppression and then talk through them and act out our interruptions. What is the spiritual practice that you seek to remind you of who you want to be, that holds you kindly and compassionately as you look at the things that are hard about yourself? We all have them. In paganism, we call this shadow work. We look at the parts of ourselves that we'd rather not look at, but they still follow us around from day to day, impacting the decisions we make, even though, like our shadows, we might not pay attention to them. What is the spiritual practice of reconciliation? The spiritual practice of accountability? The spiritual practice of confession? I don't know that we have those yet in Unitarian Universalism. And I am excited to hear what you think would be a good and healthy and rewarding practice. I am excited to write those practices together and to learn from each other, how we can hold each other while we look at the hard and challenging things, the parts of ourselves that we wish weren't there, the parts of our world that we want to change, and to give ourselves the permission to act like that is possible, because it is. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, power is at its best love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is love correcting everything that stands against love. What are your rituals and habits that remove everything that stands against love? Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
One more step, we will take one more step till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word, one more prayer. We will say one more prayer till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer, one more song. We will sing one more song till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and hope. For we are now the keepers of the dream. To make an offering or your pledge, please go to oakcliffuu.org/donate and follow the links.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
Human Beauty and Resilience by Imani Perry. I do not believe the acts of oppressors are my people's shame. For me, that my people became, created, and imagined from a position of unfreedom is a source of deep pride, not shame. What better evidence of human beauty and resilience could there be?
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And now in Spanish. Encendimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevamos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.
We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing till the world can hear the song, till the world can sing along. We will not stop marching. We will not stop marching. We will not till the world can sing along. Till the world can sing, till the world can sing, till the world